I know we don't say it enough around here, but thank you, God, for Rush Limbaugh and all our friends at Fox News. You see, if it wasn't for them, that tyrant Obama would get away with his whole fascist, socialist, communist Kenyan agenda. And when it comes to immigration, nothing stands in King Obama's way. Well, almost nothing.
Thanks to Obama, now you have amnesty unless you get convicted of a major felony. So I don't know that there's any stopping this. It's up to me and Fox News, and I don't think Fox News is that invested in this.
And it's not only immigration reform. Rush and Fox have also worked tirelessly to protect us from universal health care, equal rights for women, marriage equality, and any kind of sensible and popular gun control. So thank you, Rush, for protecting us, just like the OxyContin protects you from experiencing the pain of being who you really are. Joining me now, the panel of non-experts, comedian Kevin McCaffrey, editor-in-chief of The Contributor, Tina Dupuy, and the one and only Mr. Christian Finnegan. Good evening, kids. Let's talk about the self-importance of Rush Limbaugh, because he says that he and Fox News are all that stands between Obama's agenda and America. The sad question, isn't he kind of right?
Yeah, well, that's the definition of a conservative, right? Someone who stands athwart history, yelling, "No more brown people." I think that's pretty much... I mean,
yeah, it already sounds like the worst Avengers spin-off of all time. Just Rush and Fox News just keeping Obama away from America. It's, yeah.
Yes, Rush and a recent immigrant, Rupert Murdoch, are going to keep us all safe from other immigrants.
Well, I hear them accusing Obama of amnesty all the time, and I just think if you don't like amnesty, don't you have to throw out your Ronald Reagan love doll? Because he's the one who actually gave real amnesty, not Obama.
And let us remember that Cubans get automatic amnesty for just arriving on our shores. So again, Marco Rubio is not actually the best person to come out against.
Yeah, the asylum kind, of course. That's the sacred loophole. But is it a good sign that Fox and Rush are at least acknowledging that they are not just propaganda, they're a legitimate wing of the Republican Party?
I mean, it's one of those things that everyone knew so much anyway. It's like when Lance Armstrong comes out and was like, "Oh, I cheated." It's like, we know. We've known for a while. But cool, like no one's gone to Rush.
Right.
Like, I want a real even neutral view on this issue. Let's see what Rush
George
is up
Michael's gay?
Yeah.
I think it's almost the opposite. I think the GOP is a functioning wing of Fox News. It's the tail is wagging the rabid, elderly, overweight dog.
And you know what? I mean, David
dog.
Frum said as much last year. He came out and actually said, Fox News has gone from being, a part of the Republican Party to running the Republican Party. And doesn't that hurt them? Doesn't the constant outrage cycle of Fox News serve to marginalize the GOP as the get off my lawn whippersnapper party even more?
Doesn't hurt Fox, hurts the GOP.
Well,
right.
Because Fox only needs 2 million people to tune in every night. The GOP needs, half the country to actually vote them into office. So they are at an advantage. Fox News is at an advantage, and the GOP is not.
You're right. They like to brag that their ratings make them the most trusted name in cable, but, if that's true, then SpongeBob is far more trustworthy than Fox News because his numbers are much bigger. But, one thing you pointed out, really Fox News is a profit scheme for Rupert Murdoch to make more money. And Rupert Murdoch, God bless him, had to apologize this week after the Sunday Times of London ran this cartoon showing Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu building a wall trapping the bodies of suffering Palestinians. And then Rupert Murdoch tweeted, and we love when he does that, about the cartoon's artist, saying, "Gerald's scarf has never reflected the opinions of the Sunday Times. Nevertheless, we owe major apology for grotesque, offensive cartoon." So in the U.S., Fox News and Murdoch's empire is staunchly pro-Israel. In the U.K., they're pro-Palestine. Doesn't this prove that maybe, just maybe, Rupert Murdoch, who held a fundraiser for Hillary Clinton, who described himself once as liberal, has no core ideology beyond making a buck?
Yeah, he's pro-capitalist.
It's like saying, "Oh, I love Old Navy. I love Banana Republic." They're the same company. It doesn't matter. And I love the fact, he's never represented our views. Well, he's employed by you.
Yeah,
right.
We just put his stuff in a paper.
Right, exactly. I can see you not reading someone's entire article, so maybe the last paragraph is kind of racy. But this is a cartoon. Dude, you can see it. It's right there.
Yeah, and you have to get, it's not like some e-cards where it's like user-generated content. You know what I mean? It's like some editor has to decide, yes, let's put this ad in our paper.
But at least he apologized via tweet, which I think we know means he means it.
Well, yeah.
For real,
we know it's really him, too.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I guess he could apologize by writing me an email. God knows he's probably hacked into it. Speaking of people who think they have more power than they really do, shifting gears just a bit, Grover Norquist. Savor it. Grover Norquist's anti-tax pledge is now being picked up by a group in Italy called Tea Party Italia. Is this because that's where fascism began, or did they just see how well it worked here?
It just sounds like a dance club. It's like, I would love to go party. I bet they got bottle
Tea
service.
Party Italia. Yeah, Tom Hanks is doing the remake.
Yeah.
Right. No, I want to branch in Russia. Like, I think that any kind of empire should definitely have a tea party there, just to like.
I will say
make it
I'm sorry.
better. No.
The Italian Tea Party will be far better dressed. You know that the tri-corner hat will be tilted to the side. It'll be very,
very
tailored.
Well, it makes sense that they would be getting the Tea Party in Europe now. Like, our fads go there when we're done with them, you know? It's like they're probably just getting season 1 of Fresh Prince now, too. They're still wearing acid wash jeans. It makes perfect sense.
Neon's going to break any day. But it is a good point, you know? I mean, when you consider the fact that, like, this whole notion of not paying any taxes, you know, freedom isn't free, but don't ask me to pay for it. Is that stupid enough to catch on with our European allies?
Well, I will say this. My stepsister lives in Italy. That country is a mess. I mean, that country is a mess. I'm not saying that maybe some sort of counterweight over there might not be a terrible idea. Like that country is about 4 years away from just being a giant Olive Garden. You know,
Yes,
it's not.
well,
it needs something. I don't
They
know if
are the
Tea
best
Party's gonna
argument
help.
against coalition governments. It's really true.
Yeah.
I mean, the third party is like 400 third parties over there. And you can live with your mom till you're 50. Senator Ron Johnson, I kid the Italians. Senator Ron Johnson, in the news last week after being schooled by Hillary Clinton in the Benghazi hearings, gave an interview that I thought was fascinating, where he said that there are many parallels between Ayn Rand's novel Atlas Shrugged, where society's wealthiest citizens go on strike to protest high taxes, and America today. If the wealthiest Americans went on strike, guys, who would actually be affected? The tuxedo industry, the guys who make monocles? I mean, what would happen if the wealthiest people decided to sit around and do no labor?
That is what currently
Yeah,
happens. I think that's why you make the money, is so you make other people do the
Your
work.
money does the work for you. That's
Yeah, what would a
being
strike
rich is
entail?
all about. No, I love this. I mean, we lost Alan West, and now we have Ron. I mean,
Rest
it's
in
like
peace.
right. Thank you, thank you so much for the intellectual leader of the Republican Party to finally come forward.
I've interviewed the man, and he does make Alan West look like Socrates. But I find it funny that he's using that as a parallel for the rich being taxed too high. When Ayn Rand published that book, it was 1957, I believe, under Eisenhower, when the rich were taxed at over a 90% rate. It's 39%. What are they whining about?
You know, I'm just surprised that he doesn't think that this is in the fiction or the nonfiction section of the bookstore. I mean, I think that we have to give him credit for knowing that this is, a parable and not, not history.
Well, and this is a guy he literally bought a statue of Atlas because he's so into Atlas Shrugged. So he's probably been making comparisons to Atlas Shrugged for years, and people are just now.
He actually bought
of
an almost naked muscular man holding something
Yes.
up? Wow.
So he's probably like, any problem that comes up in his life, his Olive Garden order's wrong. He's like, this is just like Atlas Shrugged, right,
Let
guys?
me turn to my
It's so
bronze
bad.
Michelangelo's David.
Seriously, what is wrong with Wisconsin?
Well,
This is like you already have what makes all that cheese make you want to read Ayn Rand?
well, there's a lot of good progressives in Wisconsin, and they organized last year, and I know what you're saying, and they did re-elect Ron Paul to the Congress. But what is with the conservative? Speaking of Ron Paul, Paul Ryan. I'm so sorry.
I like that.
Lot of Rons.
Slip, though.
Lot of
That was
Rons
good.
today.
I think
Well, we're talking
that was
Ayn Rand.
Freudian
Yeah.
slip.
Paul's
That
all
was
blend
perfect.
together when it comes to Auntie Ayn. But what is the Ron Paul, Paul Ryan right-wing obsession with Ayn Rand? Do these guys realize that if Ayn Rand were alive, she would hate them for their religion and Christianity?
Listen, I sympathize with people who love Ayn Rand because I was a college freshman once myself.
But face.
It is totally a phase. It is hilarious to me to hear people be like, I'm a fundamentalist Christian and I love Ayn Rand. It's like, that's like saying I love Reese's Cups, but I hate chocolate.
Exactly.
It's one of the two ingredients.
Ayn Rand hates you.
No.
All right,
Yeah.
my panel will stay with me after the break. We'll get a Fox News history lesson that will surprise you because it's completely made up and false.